Zeke Yeager was born to 𝐷𝐤𝐤 Yeager and Dina Fritz, who were planning to overthrow the Marley government and put the Eldians back in power. 𝐷𝐤𝐤 was among the rebels when the Marley government announced the Warrior program, asking for Eldian children between the ages of 5 to 7 to serve as potential warriors, with the promise that their families would be given the title of honorary Marleyans and be ensured freedom within the country. 𝐷𝐤𝐤 then decided to enter Zeke into the program to play the role of a spy for his cause. At home, Zeke was routinely sent to his grandparents, while both Dina and 𝐷𝐤𝐤 attended Eldian restorationist meeting, with most of his visits being spent listening to his grandfather, recounting the stories of the Eldian race's crimes against the world. Over time, his parents' preoccupation with the Eldian restorationists led them growing continuously distant with Zeke, with 𝐷𝐤𝐤 in particular showing very little investment in his son's life outside of his studies and performances as a warrior candidate. Initially, Zeke did not perform impressively as a warrior candidate, and his trouble keeping pace with his fellow candidates caused him to be ostracized by his peers and his instructor. However, he did manage to make one friend during his training, Tom Saver. After a day of routine training, Zeke happened to meet Saver while the man was in the middle of playing catch by himself. After some prodding from Saver, Zeke joined him in the game and was thrilled to hear Saver complimenting him on his pitching skill. After returning home, Zeke tried to tell his parents about the experience, but found them in the middle of a meeting with a fellow restorationist. Zeke tried eavesdropping on the conversation and listening in as his parents reassured 𝐷𝐷𝐤𝐤 that he had the ability to save Eldia. During another public training event, Zeke was once again outperformed by all of the other candidates. To his distress, Zeke observed that both his parents had come to watch, and was dismayed to see his father storm away from the field in frustration. That night, he cried in his room while listening to his parents argue over what to do about his poor performance. After the training event, Saver tried to cheer him up during one of their games of catch, before joking that Zeke becoming a warrior would be a dumb idea. Surprised to hear a warrior slandering the warrior program, Zeke asked to know why Saver had chosen to become one. Saver's explanation, that he had wanted the opportunity to study the Titans scientifically, surprised Zeke, but he agreed with Saver's assertion that neither of them were meant to be soldiers. While cleaning the halls of the Warriors' headquarters, Zeke overheard that the Marleyan authorities were close to discovering the location of the Eldian restorationists. Knowing that this would sentence his entire family and himself to the border of paradise to be converted to pure Titans, Zeke went to his parents and begged them to stop, but was met only with their insistence that what they were doing needed to be done for the good of all Eldians. In a desperate attempt to appeal to his father, Zeke reminded him of 𝐕𝐢𝐝 and asked if he would be okay with his own son meeting the same fate. This only managed to enrage 𝐷𝐤𝐤. Terrified, Zeke tried to remind his parents that their whole family would be sent to paradise if they were discovered, but 𝐷𝐤𝐤 reiterated his previous statement that they needed to win back the rights that Marley had taken in order to make sure that no one else met the same fate as 𝐕𝐢𝐝. With no one else to turn to, Zeke revealed everything to Saver. Although Zeke had resigned himself to being sent to paradise and spent an eternity as a Titan, Saver suggested that he turn in his parents so that only they would be punished. This would allow Zeke and his grandparents to go free. Zeke initially protested the idea, but Saver insisted that there was no other way, reminding Zeke of all the turmoil and strife he had experienced on account of his parents forcing their ideas on him, without thought for his own feelings. After some thought, Zeke agreed and turned in his parents to secure his status in Marley's eyes as a loyal warrior. Soon after, 𝐷𝐤𝐤 and Dina were sent to Paradise Island to be transformed into pure Titans. Still not knowing the truth of Zeke's heritage, Marley sent him to be raised by his grandparents. Zeke continued his parents' cause by operating from the shadows to secure the Eldians' freedom from Marley in his own way. Zeke continued playing catch with Saver regularly during his time in the Warrior program, often using the games as a time to have long discussions with him. During one such game, Saver revealed that the Founding Titan had the power to not only affect the memories of subjects of Ymir, but also change the composition of their bodies. Inspired by this, Zeke theorized that a holder of the Founding Titan might be able to use it to render all subjects of Ymir sterile, so that they would die out within 100 years, without a need for mass genocide. Noticing Saver not immediately tossing back the baseball, Zeke heard Saver reveal that he once had a family with a Marleyan woman who had killed herself after learning he was an Eldian. Listening to his mentor lament his own birth, Zeke vowed to Saver that he would take back the Founding Titan from paradise and keep it out of Marley's hands to ensure that it could not be used to hurt anyone again. Soon after, Zeke was told that the key in the planned euthanasia of the Eldians, the founding Titan, must be in possession of someone who will agree to the plan and be in physical contact with a Titan descended from the royal family. Saber asked Zeke to find someone who is willing to go through with the plan. At the age of 17, Zeke became the eldest of the warrior candidates to be selected to receive the power of the Titans, inheriting the Beast Titan from Saber in the year 842. Zeke kept Saber's glasses after inheriting his Titan as a memento of his former friend. 1 year after inheriting the Beast Titan, Zeke and his fellow warriors used their Titan forms to crush an entire nation. Zeke used his Beast Titan to bombard enemies in the midst of retreat with explosive ammunition. With the battle being a large success, the Marleyan army regarded the new warriors as more effective than their predecessors. It was decided that Zeke be kept in Marley, alongside Peak, as a deterrent to enemy nations, while the other warriors, Reiner, Bertolt, Annie, and Marcel, were entrusted to take part in the journey to Paradise. 5 years after the start of the Paradise Island operation, Zeke travels with Peak and a small number of Marleyan soldiers to Paradise Island to infiltrate the walls. After arriving, the group locates a small village inside of Wall Rose and chooses to turn its residents into Titans. The soldiers release a gas laced with Zeke's spinal fluid into the air, which is blown into the village and inhaled by the villagers. Zeke then lets out a scream, triggering all the affected Eldians to begin transforming into Titans. As Zeke proceeds further into Wall Rose, he is spotted by Mike Zacharias, who instantly notes the strangeness of his characteristics and mistakes him for a regular abnormal. As Mike's horse races back to him, Zeke notices it and throws it at Mike, preventing the latter from escaping and causing him to lose his footing and fall into the mouth of one of Zeke's Titans. Before the Titan can devour Mike, Zeke orders it to refrain from eating, intent on questioning the soldier about his vertical maneuvering equipment. The Titan disobeys Zeke and continues to try to eat Mike, prompting Zeke to crush its head. He then proceeds to interrogate Mike, but quickly gives up when the man neglects to respond out of shock. Zeke assumes that they either do not speak the same language, or Mike is too frightened to respond to him, and instead notes that Mike uses swords, indicating that the soldiers of the walls are aware that the nape is the Titan's weakness. He removes Mike's equipment for a further inspection and takes his leave. As he is leaving, Zeke hears Mike's cries of defiance and allows the surrounding Titans to devour him. As Mike screams in horror and pain, Zeke notes that they spoke the same language after all. Zeke is later seen wandering around outside Utgard Castle, where several members of the Survey Corps have been trapped by his Titans. As his Titans surround the castle, Zeke climbs up Wall Rose and watches the ensuing battle. After the soldiers kill most of the larger Titans, Zeke begins throwing large stones at the tower, killing Lyn, Henning, and the soldiers' remaining horses. He then screams, summoning more Titans to continue the assault on the castle. Afterwards, Zeke climbs over the wall and disappears into the lost territory of Wall Maria. At the time, Historia Rhys is crowned queen, roughly 2 months after both Reiner and Bertolt were exposed as traitors and escaped the Survey Corps. Zeke is reunited with the two warriors. He learns from them that Marcel has been eaten shortly after arriving on the island, and Annie has been captured by the military. However, Bertolt and Reiner reveal that they have discovered the identity of the person in possession of the founding Titan, one of their former comrades in the Survey Corps, named Aaron Yeager. Stunned to learn that Aaron is his younger half-brother, along with the fact that 𝐷rishi somehow managed to survive and avoid getting turned into a Titan, Zeke breaks down in anguish. That evening, in addition, Zeke contemplates how Aaron, despite not possessing royal blood, managed to use the powers of the founding Titan. Certain that Aaron is the person that he has been searching for to make his plan succeed, Zeke makes acquiring his half-brother the top priority of the warriors. When he informs both Reiner and Bertolt about this, they protest and insist the recovery of Annie takes precedence over capturing Aaron. Eventually, Reiner decides to challenge Zeke to a battle with their respective Titan forms, but Zeke swiftly and effortlessly defeats him. While Bertolt takes Reiner's body from his Titan form, Zeke emerges and proclaims himself the winner. He then tells the two of them that they can rescue Annie after securing the founding Titan, informing them of his plan to wait in Shiganshina to ambush the Survey Corps. Sometime after Zeke's disagreement with Reiner and Bertolt, he reminds them not to worry about Annie, pointing out that the Survey Corps would not be able to torture her without triggering her Titan abilities, and theorizing that she is likely only in hiding. Noting their dissatisfaction, he questions whether they have lost their resolve. He offers to fight Reiner again to decide what they will do next, but threatens to feed him to another warrior if he loses again. �Peak arrives shortly afterwards to inform them of the Survey Corps' imminent arrival, and the three proceed to their post to prepare for the upcoming battle. Before they go, both Reiner and Bertolt warn Zeke about a man named Levi. Intrigued, Zeke acknowledges his subordinates' concerns, but internally disregards the soldier as being a threat to him. Soon after, the Survey Corps initiate the operation to retake Wall Maria. After Eren manages to seal the outer gate of Shiganshina, Zeke, Reiner, and Bertolt launch their operation. After Reiner's failed attack and his momentary downfall, Zeke transforms, alongside with a numerous horde of Titans outside the wall. Zeke immediately picks up a giant boulder and launches it at the inner gate, destroying it so that the soldiers' horses will not get over it, and effectively cutting off their only escape route from the battle back to Shiganshina. Zeke then starts walking slowly towards the city with a maniacal grin on his face. As he advances, he roars, ordering smaller Titans to attack the Survey Corps' horses, while having the larger Titans form a circle around the entrance of Shiganshina district in order to prevent the soldiers from escaping. After some time, Zeke receives a signal to throw a barrel containing Bertolt into Shiganshina in the form of a roar from Reiner's Titan form. After sending Bertolt over the wall, Zeke begins attacking the Survey Corps north of the district with a barrage of stones, pretending that he is pitching baseballs in order to help himself aim. Each throw breaks the sound barrier, and every soldier who is caught in the barrage is utterly vaporized, forcing Levi and the rest of the soldiers to retreat to the base of the wall. As he continues his assault, Zeke notices a large group of soldiers, led by Erwin Smith, riding towards him. Zeke states that he had expected a better counterattack than a suicide run. As his pitches hit their mark, Zeke laments the fact that King Fritz erased the soldiers' memories of the world, forcing them to keep making the same mistakes and push themselves to die honorably as a result of their ignorance. Getting worked up at the thought, Zeke accidentally crushes the stones in his hand into dust and is forced to calm himself down for a moment before resuming his attack. Killing many more soldiers, Zeke notices that there are some still alive, despite the odds, and continue their charge. Seeing their persistence causes him to become annoyed again, opining that they can shoot smoke at him all day long, as it will not achieve anything. As he finishes off the stragglers with one final throw, Zeke begins to lament their deaths, before noticing with alarm that the Titans flanking him have been killed. Bewildered as to what happened, he is suddenly ambushed by Levi, who slices his arm to pieces as he attempts to grab him. Realizing that he is facing the soldier that Reiner and Bertolt warned him about, Zeke tries to guard his nape, but is immediately blinded by Levi. Before Zeke can react to being blinded, his Titan's Achilles tendons are slashed, leaving him unable to stand. Realizing that there is no time to harden his nape, Zeke tries to use his hand to shield it, but it is immediately cut to pieces as well. As Levi begins to cut open his nape, Zeke emerges from his Titan, trying to use the steam emitted to blind Levi, but is immediately skewered through his mouth by the captain. Before Levi can execute Zeke, �Peak rescues him and carries him away from the battlefield. As they flee, Zeke orders his remaining Titans to kill Levi. �Peak carries Zeke back to Shiganshina, where he locates and approaches Eren, who is holding Bertolt hostage. Zeke recognizes him as his half-brother and tries to talk Eren down, claiming that they are both victims of their father. Eren is shocked by Zeke's resemblance to Grisha, but before Zeke can further elaborate, he is forced to retreat due to the arrival of Levi, whose sudden appearance takes Zeke by surprise. As he takes his leave, he apologizes to Bertolt, stating that he will not be able to save him, before promising Eren that he will come back and save him. While escaping, Zeke and �Peak locate a severely injured Reiner, rescuing him from the remaining Survey Corps soldiers who have captured him. Shortly after the Battle of Shiganshina District, the Marley Mid-East War began. In secret, Zeke sends his group of followers, the anti-Marleyan volunteers, to Paradise Island to make contact with the Eldians living there. Zeke also gives the volunteers a list of requirements that Paradise Island would need to fulfill in exchange for his aid. Zeke also arranged the Marleyan survey ships to carry large stocks of wine mixed with his spinal fluid. This wine would be served to members of the military, starting with the high-ranking officers. Zeke would also make contact with Kiyomi Azumabito from the nation of Hizuru on the possibility of forming an alliance with Paradise. He acknowledges what he did to his parents and reveals that Marley does not know what a Titan with royal blood can do when joined with the founding Titan. As a token of goodwill, Zeke brings out the vertical maneuvering equipment he took from Mike Zacharias and presents it to her. He mentions the existence of Iceburst Stone, which powers the device, and there are scant traces still inside. At some point during the war, it was decided that warrior candidate 𝐁𝐞𝐤𝐿 would become the one to inherit Zeke's Beast Titan at the end of Zeke's term. At the climax of the war, Zeke takes part in the assault on Fort Slava. As Eldian captives parachute down from an airship, Zeke uses his royal blood powers to transform the captives into Titans, inflicting a devastating airstrike upon Fort Slava. After the armored Titan destroys the anti-Titan artillery, Zeke transforms into the Beast Titan and joins the battle. Using leftover artillery rounds as projectiles, he destroys the Mid-East Allied Forces fleet. The fleet themselves fire upon Zeke before their destruction, but Reiner's armored Titan saves Zeke, being destroyed in the process. After the conclusion of the battle, Zeke takes part in a meeting with Marley officials to discuss the war's conclusion and Marley's future. Zeke suggests resuming the Paradise Island operation to retake the founding Titan as soon as possible. When reminded that Marley cannot rely entirely on Titans anymore, Zeke mentions that Marley can also use this time to improve their own military ordnance for their ground troops while they seek out the founding Titan on Paradise Island. After the meeting, Zeke speaks with 𝐁𝐞 about his powers as the Beast Titan. 𝐁𝐞, unaware, along with the rest of Marley, about the properties of Zeke's royal blood, calls him special. Zeke feigns ignorance over the reasons behind his powers, but promises that 𝐁𝐞 will know his secrets after inheriting his Titan. Commander 𝐷𝐼𝐻 joins the conversation, and they discuss the 32 survey ships that have disappeared when sent to Paradise Island. Zeke speculates that Paradise Island has control over 4 Titans, and at least 2 of them were responsible for the disappearance of the 32 survey ships. Zeke informs 𝐷𝐼𝐻 of the anti-Titan weaponry, as well as the existence of the Ackerman clan, and says underestimating these factors were what led to his defeat. Zeke departs on a train to Liberio. After the train arrives, Zeke walks with the warrior forces into the internment zone. When he arrives, he is lovingly welcomed by his grandparents. Zeke later holds an unofficial meeting, attended by his fellow warriors and 𝐁𝐞. He speaks about the world's growing animosity towards Eldians, as well as the future in which conventional weaponry will eclipse Titan weaponry. He also expresses worry for the future of the Eldian race for these reasons. Zeke states that to solve these concerns, Marley must continue with the plan to regain the Founder, with the prestigious Tiber family narrating the warriors' plans to the world, giving the Eldians within Marley an extent of clout. These points are debated among the warriors, with him and Peak staying on the same wavelength throughout. The unofficial meeting had been tapped by Marleyan authorities, with Zeke seemingly aware of this fact. Along with the warriors, Zeke attends a meeting with his superiors where they explain their plans for the new operation on Paradise Island. Later, as 𝐁𝐞 states his brother does not need to become a warrior, Zeke calls him to order, but quickly softens up. Zeke would eventually meet with Eren in Liberio while the latter is infiltrating Marley. He notes how similar in appearance Eren looks compared to their father. He mentions to Eren that he knows the details behind the Ackerman clan lineage and reveals it to him. Finally, Zeke tells Eren of his plan to euthanize the Eldian race and asks him if he will support it by using the powers of the Founding Titan to render all Eldians sterile. After a moment, Zeke is relieved to hear Eren agreeing to help, sharing his belief that Grisha's strategy was a mistake. Zeke agrees to meet with Eren within Shiganshina district and gives Eren a baseball in lieu of a handshake to symbolize their agreement. Later on, Zeke arrives at the festival with the warriors for Willy Tybur's speech. When Falco Grice asks Reiner to accompany him, Zeke allows it, since there is still time before the play begins. Just as the show is starting, a Marley soldier informs the remaining warriors that 𝐷𝐼𝐻 has summoned them. Recognizing the soldier as Yelena in disguise, Zeke stays silent and leads both Peak and Galliard away. Whilst being walked to 𝐷𝐼𝐻's apparent location, the soldier instructs Zeke to split off and go through the front gate, which he does. Later on, after hearing the battle between the Attack Titan, the Warhammer Titan, and the military, Zeke transforms into the Beast Titan and approaches the battlefield, while joining the Cart and Jaw Titans. Zeke then gives the order to annihilate the enemy while staring down the Survey Corps and locking eyes with Levi. He provides artillery once more by launching debris at the soldiers, and nearly gets attacked by 2 soldiers, but is saved by Peak. He has her provide covering fire from behind as he repels the Survey Corps back. He then announces that Eren Yeager is not his enemy, but another soldier from Paradise Island is, Levi Ackerman. He calls out to Levi and demands him to come face him again, stating that time is running out. Shortly afterwards, he notices Armin's transformation into the Colossus Titan from the nearby harbor, along with everyone else. While the explosion has everyone distracted, Levi seizes his opportunity and catches Zeke by surprise. He then attacks the nape of his Titan successfully, causing the Beast Titan to fall into a prone position, and is unable to defend itself as Levi immediately throws a bomb into the open nape. The bomb detonates, shocking the other warriors and the rest of the Marley forces present, with the presumed loss of their most capable warrior. However, Zeke survives the attack from Levi and is taken aboard the Eldian airship. As he regenerates his severed limbs, Zeke converses with both Eren and Hanji Zoe. When both Gabi Braun and Falco are brought aboard, Zeke expresses his surprise at seeing them there. He then discusses with Hanji that despite a number of miscalculations, namely the 2 warrior candidates, sacrifices made during the fight were worth it to ensure Eldia had both the founding Titan and someone with royal blood. He is now confident that Eldia will have a chance at finally obtaining their freedom. After the airship arrives at Paradise Island, Zeke is seen with Levi inside of a carriage, commenting that the citizens celebrating in the streets are ignorant of the true impact of the assault. Although Levi tries to make death threats to him, Zeke is unperturbed and coolly insists that Levi take him to Eren. Levi instead takes Zeke to the Titan Forest, informing him that this is where they will be staying. Marveling at the sight, Zeke asks Levi if he can show the trees to Gabi and Falco, but is told that it depends on his own actions. While Zeke is being guarded inside of the forest, he explains how he was able to transform the citizens of Ragako. Levi is bothered by Zeke's nonchalant explanation, accusing him of having no concern for human life. Zeke waves away Levi's criticisms, explaining that his loyalty to Marley would have been questioned if he had not complied with his orders. Changing the subject, Zeke requests to know when he will be able to begin experimenting with Eren's Titan abilities, but Levi claims he is not allowed to answer. Zeke claims that it would be unwise to remain inactive for much longer, to which Levi readily agrees. He later asks if there's any wine left, and Levi informs him that the soldiers drank it all. Zeke sarcastically mentions that Levi comes up with the worst punishments. As Levi walks off, Zeke sees an opportunity to escape and runs into the forest. Before Levi or any of the soldiers can stop him, Zeke lets out a piercing scream. This triggers all of the Survey Corps soldiers in the camp who drank the wine to transform into Titans, which fall out of the trees around Levi. Confident that Levi would not slaughter his own subordinates, Zeke mockingly states that he did not want to do this, but laments that this is not a proper conflict. Regardless, he summons 3 of the newly created Titans and bids farewell to Levi. He ponders if the Eldians truly understand the ramifications of their surprise attack on Liberio, and inwardly states that only he and Eren truly know the costs. Zeke is stunned to see a bloodied and angered Levi appear in front of him. Zeke frantically orders 2 of his Titans to attack him, and then subsequently transforms into the Beast Titan. He immediately hardens his own nape and scans the area for Levi. Finding him, Zeke tears apart the final surviving Titan and throws the bloody Titan pieces towards his foe. He chastises Levi for killing his subordinate and notices many tree branches falling towards him. Zeke is unable to spot Levi among the branches and is struck by several thunder spears that pierce through the hardened nape of the Beast Titan. Horrified, he only has a moment to process this before Levi detonates the spears, severely injuring Zeke. Sometime later, Zeke awakens, tied up on a carriage with a thunder spear sticking out of his abdomen. Levi informs him that the fuse and triggering mechanism are tied around his neck, and any sudden movements can set it off. While Zeke vomits uncontrollably, Levi begins to slice off Zeke's legs to prevent him from transforming. Only half conscious, Zeke asks where his glasses are, before having his memories of Saber flash before his eyes. Zeke mutters about his plan to euthanize the Eldian nation to ensure the world's safety. Levi mocks him for this, declaring that his impending death at the hands of a Titan is too merciful for the lives he has taken. Zeke weakly protests that he was saving their potential children's lives by killing them, prompting Levi to angrily prepare to cut off his legs again. Suddenly, Zeke screams out Saber's name and jerks back his head, pulling the pin on the thunder spear lodged in his stomach, causing an explosion. The explosion leaves Zeke completely mutilated and his wounds too severe for his body to regenerate from. As he begins to succumb to his injuries, Zeke recalls a meeting he had with Eren in which the 2 of them agreed to sterilize the Eldian race. As Zeke loses consciousness, one of the Titans he created regenerates and approaches his body. Rather than devour him, the Titan tears open its own stomach and places him inside. Zeke regains consciousness to find himself alone in an unknown location. Surprised to discover that he is somehow still alive, he notices a lone girl silently reconstructing his body out of soil. As this occurs, Zeke looks above him and notices strange patterns in the sky. He theorizes that he has experienced a path, and that the girl before him is his ancestor, Ymir Fritz. After a short time, Zeke is released from the Titan's stomach, fully healed from his injuries and in a slight daze. He watches on as his soldiers pursue Hanji, before being approached by a number of Yeagerists, with Flock Forster trying to ask him what happened. Recomposing himself, Zeke avoids his question and merely proclaims that they just have to move forward before departing with the Yeagerists. Zeke arrives in Shiganshina to find the district under siege from Marley's forces and Eren locked in combat with Reiner. Zeke launches debris, which knocks Reiner off Eren, and commends his younger brother for standing against Marley's forces, comforting him that he will now take care of the enemies. Zeke throws a barrage of stones, which destroy at least some of the Marleyan airships, before turning his focus towards Peak and Magath. After the Marleyans begin to fall back, he spots Reiner charging at Eren and proceeds to bombard the armored Titan, as well as Galliard, when he tries to ambush Eren. Zeke begins to gloat about how close he and Eren are to achieving their dream, but is silenced after spotting the charred remains of the cart Titan. Believing Peak to have perished in the attack, he mourns his former comrade's death. He is caught off guard by the sight of several Marleyan soldiers emerging near the cart Titan to attack. Before Zeke can react, Magath fires a round from the anti-Titan artillery atop the cart Titan's corpse, damaging his Titan's nape. Incapacitated by this, Zeke plummets off the wall and crashes into the ground. As Zeke comes to his senses, he sees Eren grappling with Reiner and announces to his brother that he will transform the soldiers who have ingested his spinal fluid. Struggling to get to his feet, Zeke is about to unleash a scream when he notices both Colt and Falco arrive at his location. Zeke is shocked to hear from Colt that Falco accidentally ingested his spinal fluid and begs him to refrain from screaming until Falco can safely get out of range of the scream. Dismayed at Falco's predicament, Zeke gives his condolences to Colt and remarks how he understands that his former comrade merely wants to protect his younger brother. Despite this, Zeke ignores Colt's request and lets out a scream, triggering all the affected Eldians to transform into pure Titans. Seeing Eren struggling to get away from Reiner, Zeke orders a newly transformed Falco to fight Reiner and kill him. After giving the command, Zeke is subsequently shot by Magath's anti-Titan artillery a second time. Exiting their Titans, Zeke crawls towards Eren and reaches out to his brother. However, before the two can reach each other, Eren is decapitated by a blast from an anti-Titan rifle fired by Gabi. Eren's head lands in Zeke's outstretched hand, allowing him to activate the Founding Titan before Eren can die from his injuries. Zeke waits in chains until Eren finally arrives, informing his confused younger brother that they are inside the coordinate. As Ymir Fritz approaches them, Zeke explains her presence to Eren, theorizing that she uses the sand in the coordinate to create the 9 Titans and heal their users' bodies when they are injured. Zeke encourages Eren to command Ymir to begin their euthanasia plan, but Eren first asks about Zeke's chains. Zeke claims that the chains are what kept Karl Fritz's descendants from acting freely. To Zeke's despair, Eren reveals that he has no intention of following the euthanasia plan, and was only using his brother as a means to activate the Founder. Heartbroken, Zeke reveals to Eren that he freed himself from Fritz's vow while waiting for Eren, and that Ymir will only obey a person with royal blood. Chaining Eren, Zeke laments that Eren has been brainwashed by Grisha, but promises to save him. Despite Eren's protests, Zeke begins showing him their father's memories. As the brothers systematically observe Grisha's memories of his time on Paradise, Zeke bitterly notes how seemingly easy it was for Grisha to move on to a new family and forget about his old one. He shows Eren how Grisha used his occupation as a doctor to socialize with nobles to try and gain information on the royal family, despite the risk such actions would pose for his family. Zeke himself is surprised to learn that Grisha apparently delayed his mission upon discovering the Rhys family's chapel out of love for his new family, coldly admitting that Grisha might have learned from his failure with Zeke. To Zeke's shock, his musings are interrupted by a scene of Grisha seemingly trying to apologize to his first son in his sleep. The two brothers continue their journey through Grisha's memories, with Zeke admitting that Eren was evidently not brainwashed by Grisha. In light of this, Zeke questions Eren on why he betrayed him and what he had planned to do with the Founder's power. Eren answers by stating he had always been this way, and that what the pitiful brother Zeke had wished for does not exist in him. Despite this, Zeke promises to save Eren by opening his eyes to the danger Eldia presents, deciding to do this before saving the world with his euthanasia plan. Zeke and Eren eventually arrive at the date Grisha steals the Founding Titan from Frida at the Rhys Chapel. While watching the memory play out, Zeke notices Eren's face distorted with rage at listening to King Fritz's ideology, and is later astonished when Grisha explains the Attack Titan's ability to peer into its future inheritor's memories. Zeke is shocked once more when Grisha finds himself unable to kill the Reese family. Confused as to whether the past had changed, his shock quickly turns to angst, however, when Eren begins talking to their father, encouraging him to fight. Outside of the chapel, Grisha, faintly aware of Zeke's presence, despairingly reveals to him that the future will not go his way, but Eren's. However, he tells Zeke that when seeing one of Eren's memories from the future, what he saw was terrible. Grisha becomes fully aware of Zeke's presence and emotionally embraces him, expressing regret that he was a poor father and still loves him. Grisha ends by pleading Zeke to stop Eren. In the unknown land, Zeke breaks away from Eren and looks at him with horror, while processing the fact that Eren had been the one to push Grisha to fight and had shown certain memories to their father in order to manipulate him. Eren thanks Zeke for allowing him access to Grisha's path, thereby enabling the future he had seen within his father's memories to occur. Terrified, Zeke orders Ymir Fritz to steal the ability to reproduce from the subjects of Ymir. As she begins working towards the Pillar of Light, Zeke tells Eren that Grisha had wished to stop him. When Eren escapes his chains after a struggle, Zeke says that it is pointless, as once Ymir begins to move, nothing is capable of stopping her. Eren embraces Ymir and begs her to help him end the world with her power. He is even more alarmed when he sees that Ymir has stopped moving and frantically tries to reach his brother and Ymir, repeatedly ordering Ymir to obey his previous command, stating that he is descended from royal blood. However, before he can reach them, Ymir agrees to help Eren, activating the rumbling. Upon Eren's transformation, Zeke is evidently eaten and loses control of his body. What remains of his being is left alone in paths, until he is joined by Armin Arlert, who had met a similar fate after confronting Eren's founding titan. Armin sits with Zeke and listens as Zeke explains his theory about the origin of life. Zeke theorizes that all life forms end their meaning by multiplying, and that it was a resultant of fear of death, which caused Ymir to spawn an undying titan body and escape to the world of the Path. Zeke theorizes that the reason she continued to obey the Fritz family for 2,000 years was because she still felt a connection to the world, and that she likely chose to help Eren because he was the first person able to understand her. Armin tries to get Zeke to tell him how to escape the Path world, but Zeke believes there's no point in continuing to fight. Armin reminds the man that their allies are fighting for the lives of innocent people, but Zeke points out that every living thing must die eventually. Armin begins recalling memories from his childhood, which brought meaning to his life, despite their insignificance. Zeke looks up and is startled to see Armin holding a baseball. Taking it from him, Zeke recalls the times he would play catch with Saber, and admits that the time was indeed precious for him. He muses that he would like to play catch again, even if the game did not mean anything. Turning, Zeke sees the former Titan inheritors standing behind him, including his father and Saber. He stands to meet them, admitting to Saber that even though he still thinks their euthanasia plan was right, he would not mind being born again, if it meant they could play catch again. He thanks Grisha for his life, and asks the two father figures to lend him their strength. Zeke emerges from Eren's Titan, and begins calling for Levi. After getting his attention, Zeke takes a moment to admire the day, and laments that he did not notice its beauty sooner. He wryly admits that he did not deserve to notice, given the atrocities he has committed, before being decapitated by Levi. Thank you so much for watching this video. It really means a lot to us. We will see you guys very soon in one of our next videos.